Welcome to another episode of the Finding Serenity in the Midst of Chaos podcast. Today, we're talking about choosing your power word of the year. And because this is the first episode of this year, and Ian is back again, and we are talking about choosing your power word. If you haven't chosen it yet, listen to this episode. So stay tuned. Hello, Ian.
Hello. Welcome
Ah,
again.
welcome again. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. It's good to be back. Yeah, well, we've
Yes.
I've had a bit of a break from the podcast when you've done your super guests that you've done, and
Yeah.
I've enjoyed actually listening to those as a listener. It's been good to be a listener actually, as well as a
Yeah.
a partaker for all these years. But it's good to be back. So, yeah, first one of the new year, and well, we're on words for the year, aren't we?
We are on the word of words for the year
Can I
indeed.
can I just chip in straight away here at the beginning and say, actually, why do we do words for the year? Where does the idea come from? What's actually behind it, really?
That's
I
a
know we've been
great,
doing it, but yeah.
I know, that's a great question. And I was thinking this to myself this morning. Why do we choose words of the year? And you know what? It's because like people set goals, people set intentions, people have something to aim for, isn't it?
Okay,
And
yeah.
this is like my coach calls this your North Star. So
Oh, right. Yeah.
having something to aim for, having
Mm,
some sort of underlying idea and premise to everything that you do, because if, as we know, if we don't, um, you know, take actions intentionally towards something, we're just going to be lost. We're just going to be like a little leaf in the wind, going around
mm,
everywhere aimlessly. So it's
mm,
kind of sets to tone of the year for the year for you to have an aim and have a goal. And
mm.
as you know, how you feel, how I feel about writing down goals and all that sort of stuff. We've spoken about it many times in our episodes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, we've discussed all this.
yeah.
There are
So
pitfalls and downfalls. Yeah.
So instead, have a word because it's not overwhelming for your brain. It is a North Star that you can aim towards, and it kind of sets the tone for the year. So that's the reason why we choose a word of the year. And in fact, I was thinking, when did I ever choose a word of the year? And I actually started choosing words of the year 2019, which is when I kind of, in my mind and in real life, in action, I started to step into my business in a way
Right. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
and I was still at my corporate job when I said that in
Mm,
2019, but I that
yeah.
was the first time I've set a word of the year for myself, and I've done one ever since. So yeah, that's your answer.
Very good. Thank you. I like it because I'm thinking, New Year's resolutions, they can be whole sentences, they could be whole paragraphs almost.
Mm,
And I like the bit that you said it's easy for the brain. It's just one word, isn't it? That
yeah.
kind of flavors the whole year and just gives us that little bit of direction, that little bit of something to
Mm,
gravitate towards, that North
yeah.
Star. I like the term North Star. It's just
Yeah.
focusing your direction in that way. And yeah, I think it's great. New Year's resolutions really don't work for me and haven't done. I know we've talked about why
Yeah.
they don't work before. We're not going to go into that necessarily today, but a word really is a great substitute for a New Year's resolution. And for me personally, I think
Hmm.
it is nice. It's singular, it's one word,
Mm.
and yeah, I like the idea.
Yeah, talking of that, what was your word of the year in 2024, Ian?
Okay, yep. So 2024's word was surrender,
Right.
which sounds really weak, doesn't it? It says, oh, it's put your hands up, you got me, roll over, end of, game over, life's finished. It sounds really, really negative and really, really weak, but it's what it's all about. It's actually really quite a strong thing
Mm,
because it's about surrender is about just giving up or surrendering to, not getting involved with, if you like, the things that
yeah.
you can't really control and do anything
Yeah.
about. Classic example, the weather. Stop moaning about the weather. Stop getting so uptight about it. There's nothing you can do about it. It won't change. It is here comes one of my favorite expressions, not it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yes, exactly.
It's
Except,
not a,
so
it's not a bad sentence actually in some ways, but yeah, go
yeah,
on, Chulai.
surrender kind of encompasses this acceptance and trust,
Yeah.
and basically it doesn't, for me actually it's quite a positive word in the
Oh
way
yeah,
that you
absolutely.
trust, like you say, you trust, and uh you take the action still, but you
Yeah.
trust the things that it will work out,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
because you
And
you
take
you
courage for things. We were talking
yeah,
about this in the
yeah,
last episode. What are we taking courage over? What are we stepping out and doing that we're a bit scared?
yeah,
It's surrendering to to the rubbish and the nonsense and taking that really positive action. It's making me think about who do I want to be?
yeah,
Who am I and what do I want to be? And how can I get there if I'm not there already? And
yeah,
just being myself and surrendering to nonsense and rubbish around me, really.
yeah. Cool.
That was my word for
That
the
was your
year.
word, yes. And my word was, do you remember?
It wasn't love, was it? That was one
No,
of the
that was
old ones.
2022, really.
Okay.
23. Oh my God, years ago, it's so quick. So, anyway,
Intention?
intention, you're
Is
right.
that it?
It was
It was.
intention. It was
Yeah.
intention.
Yeah, that just came to me all of a
It
sudden.
it
Yeah.
was intention. And it was good. It was wonderful. I've lived intentionally.
Mm.
I've reminded myself how things can be so easy when I set my intention to them. And it's, as I said, since 2019, I've been setting these words of the year, and now it's kind of coming to its own. When I look back on the words of the year I've chosen since then, my first word in 2019 was change. In 2020, it was what was it? Flow.
COVID?
No, courage. Courage. It was
Courage.
courage. COVID. Courage. Courage. It was courage. And in 2021, it was flow. In 2022, it was impact. And in 2023, it was love, like you said. And this year, last year, in 2024, I
2024.
chose intention. And it's all coming together again. Each word was my North Star, but all encompassing my overall goal of making a bigger impact in the world, and how am I going to be, who am I going to be in doing so? And courage was so appropriate for 2020, as you know, because there I had to take so much courage to get out there, put myself out
Yeah.
in the world. So
Yes.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that was kind of nicely evolved into this, and setting my intention, and things don't have to be difficult. All you have to do is set your intention. So, but
Fantastic.
today we're talking about how do we choose that word, and I just kind of alluded to it, I guess, is what is it that you want to achieve? What is the biggest goal? Whether it's your health, whether it's building more wealth, whether it's family, whether it's success in life. What is that word that's going to anchor you and drive you when everything is going wrong, when chaos of the outside world is going on, and when, things are not quite going your way? What is that one word you're going to remember and keep you on track, if you like? That's what I would think of it as.
Brilliant. Yeah, that makes sense. That's something tangible. It's something relevant to us because we're not going to pick a word that's going to take us down a direction that we don't want to go, or it's going to be what it's going to be based around our aspirations, isn't it? And
Yeah,
kind of what we
exactly.
see that we want to do. You're very clear that you want to impact people, you want to have a positive impact on people, as opposed to owning two Rolls Royces for yourself to drive around
Yeah,
Bambi. And it's
that's right.
so you've got clear intentions there where maybe other people want to gain materialistically. That might be a goal for somebody that
Mm,
we're not going into the
yeah.
pros and cons of wanting to do that, but if that's what somebody wants to do, that I think that's what we're saying, isn't it? About try and think about what it is that you're wanting to achieve,
Yeah.
whether
And
that's for yourself or for others, and
yeah,
set your
and
word around that.
exactly. And if the process of choosing is overwhelming, and it can be, what am I going to
Yes.
choose? I don't even know, and all of this sort of stuff. What I
Yeah, how
suggest,
do I summarize it? Yeah.
yeah, What I suggest to do, which is what I've done
Mhm.
recently when I'm choosing my word of the year for 2025, I've obviously reflected on the year, reflected on all the words that I've chosen until now, and thinking of my intentions for 2025. But what am I gonna do? What is my intention for 2025? And I've kind of started to get an idea. It's along these lines, but I don't quite have the word yet. So basically, the kind of ideas I had, I opened the um synonyms, looking for different words that
Oh yeah,
describe
good
what I
idea.
want, and literally wrote down a few of them
Yeah.
and started to contemplate. I just did this once, right? 2 days later, while I was washing up randomly,
Yep.
this word just came to me. At it's then that I knew that was my word of the year 2025.
Fantastic.
So that
Oh,
was
I
good.
thought for a minute you were going to say you haven't decided and we weren't going to reveal it today on the
Oh no, we
podcast.
are.
I, I didn't, yeah. I knew I'd missed a trick there somewhere. So no, that's very, but I love that. I love the fact that you were probably struggling at one point, looking for synonyms, looking, really trying to search and really trying to identify and then just bit casual washing up. Got it.
Got it.
It's there. I
Yeah.
love that. And I think that, there's a lesson there for
And
us to learn. Sometimes we just got to step back, get away from it, and then it'll come.
it will come, and it's an element of surrender. The right word will
Yeah.
come, and set the intention. I'm going to find that word.
Yes.
I took some steps towards it, and I surrendered, knowing
Yeah.
that it will come. So that's kind
Yeah.
of
And
all
know
of
it's
our
come.
words in action, isn't it? It's great.
Before we reveal what the words are, I've just got this peculiar feeling that maybe we've chosen the same word for this year. And I want to make it absolutely clear to our listeners and our viewers, we have not colluded on this. If we happen to both have the same word by any chance, it really is
It's
not
going
planned and
not
we're not
planned. Yes.
copying.
Yeah.
Absolutely not planned, but it could be, maybe it is, or
Ooh.
maybe I've just got a funny, maybe I'm just totally wrong. We will find out
We'll
very,
find
very.
out. Do you want to reveal it first, yours?
You want me to do mine first?
Why not?
Okay, I will do. I thought about it. It came to me. I don't really know how it came to me, but it did came to me. It did come to me. I'm very clear. I'm very happy with it. And my word for 2025 is truth.
Oh, wow.
Truth. That's
Truth.
it.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
truth is the word. And you might think, what? What? Not telling lies, just telling the truth? Oh, no, 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 no. Lots more to it than that. But I don't know if you want to do your word or whether we
No, no,
talk
no.
about
Do
mine.
explain. You can't just get away with it like
Oh,
that.
well, I'm not just gonna leave it, but I didn't know
No,
if you
just
wanted to get your.
explain.
All
No, we
right,
will come to
truth.
mine in a sec. You
We'll
tell
come
me
to
yours.
yours in a minute, but we've got to go with mine now. So my word is truth, and
Okay.
it's part of where I've come from last year.
Mm.
Insofar as I think I mentioned on the last podcast when we reviewed last year about getting rid of the road, what do you want less of, less sort of wasted time and rubbish. There's so much nonsense really in the world, and I just want to get back to what is true and what is right. I have to say I do subscribe to the idea of absolute truth. I know there are people that don't, and they say, well, I've got my truth, you've got your truth.
Mm.
I think we've got to be very careful about the words that we use when we talk about that,
Yes.
because I think I've got my opinion, I've got my interests, I've got my perspective, and
Mm.
I could be wrong. And somebody else has got their views, their perspective, their ideas,
Mm.
which are totally different to mine. They could be right and they could be wrong. There is an absolute truth. I like the illustration of the 6 and the 9. If you're standing that
Yeah,
side, it
yeah.
looks like a 9. If I'm standing this side, it looks like a 6. And we can argue that's a 6, that's a 6. No, it's not. It's a 9. It's a 9. But again, to use one of my phrases, it is what it is. It is a true thing. There is an absolute truth, and perhaps the person that made it knows whether they made it to be a 9
Mm.
or a 6. And really, anybody with any thought outside of themselves should be able to say, well, depending on which angle you come at that object, it will look like a different thing, and you can describe it as something differently, but it is an absolute object. It
Mm.
itself is a
Yeah.
true absolute object, and there's no getting away from that. How we talk about it, how
Yeah.
we describe it, is down to our personal perspective, our personal interest, what we want it to be, maybe. But
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
think there is absolute truth, and that's what I want to focus around.
Amazing.
Not and again, to take courage and not be afraid to say and to
Mm.
speak for what I, what is absolute truth
I know.
is my word.
That's good. I mean, listening to it all, I feel goosebumps because, like you
Good,
said,
great,
we are
fantastic.
we are very much in sync. My word
Whoa.
is not exactly the same,
Okay.
but it carries very much of the same sort of philosophy behind it, because that was one of the words that may have come, um, or behind it. It wasn't the exact word, but it's kind
Sure.
of very, very similar. And that's my word is alignment.
Oh, wow.
You
Love it.
know,
I
you know
couldn't have
why?
guessed. No, well, yeah, I couldn't have guessed, but that
Yeah.
I get it now. Yeah.
Because when I was thinking, what could it be? What could it be? Transformation, we've done that before, and
Yeah.
it's not really transformation. Maybe coming back to myself, turning inwards and rejuvenating, reinventing, something along those lines. I was just thinking, and all of a sudden it came to me, alignment. And
That's great.
the reason for that is because I don't have to change. I don't have to transform to anything. We are already
Wow.
evolving. That's kind of an inevitable consequence of being in this journey, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we are moving forward by default, really.
Yes, the only constant is change. So that's already happening. So let's
Sure.
put behind a bit more meaning, a bit more weight, a bit
Yeah.
more.
Oh,
Uh,
I like this because there's so much talk about change, and that's great. But what if something's really working for you? Well, I don't
yeah,
want to change it.
yeah,
And there is merit in don't change for the sake of change, isn't it? So
yeah,
yes, but this is deeper. Yeah, this
yeah.
alignment thing. Now this makes a lot of sense, and it isn't so far away. It's a different word, but it's the theme isn't so far away
The
from
theme is the same. It's again
yeah,
coming back to my truth, who I am, what my values are, what
yeah,
my true self is, without
yes,
having to put a front, without having
yeah,
to filter any of the things that I say just because somebody's going to feel bad about it, somebody's going to judge me, and all of this. Um, I mean, believe it or not, we talk about it a lot, but I realized last year there is so much of that still within me, the
right,
fear of
okay,
judgment from others.
yeah,
Um, you know, and I recognize that is another layer that I had to peel, having grown
right,
and evolved over the
sure,
time. And what I decided to do is that this year I'm going to focus on being true to myself, like you say, and being in
brilliant,
alignment with what is it that I believe in, what is it that I stand for,
yeah,
and not deviate from who I
yes,
am, no matter
yes,
in what situation that I
yeah.
am, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. You said you see that to me. You said your truth, which is
Yeah,
different to my truth because I'm
yeah,
not trying to do the same thing. But what it is, what we're talking about is personality and who we are. It
yeah,
is your absolute truth.
yeah,
You,
yeah.
you, you know, you are the absolute you. I'm the
Mm,
absolute me.
yeah,
So it is absolute.
yeah.
It's
So
just different to other people. Does that make sense? Is that
it makes sense. And then there is here that I want to make this caveat for people. One of the reasons why we put ourselves in chaos is because of those different interpretations of different situations and people
yeah,
and whatever words. Our interpretation is based on what we believe in, all the filters that you've already listed in the previous sentence. But there is an actual truth somewhere sitting outside of all
mm,
of those interpretations.
that's right.
I can't think of an example right now, but one of the things in my signature training I say is that, your uh, your beliefs create your actions and reactions and your emotions, which then turn into actions and outcomes then create more thought, and that all of that
Yeah.
But that's all based on what you believe in, what you interpret the situation
Yes.
as,
Yeah.
and where you are
Yes.
at that moment in time, but nothing
Yes.
to do with actual truth,
Yes, yeah, yeah,
right?
spot on. I do agree with that. Yeah, I think it's you say struggle to find an example. I think this is probably a simple example. Sport exists. Now, I
Mm,
might really like sport, or I might like an aspect of it. I might really like football, but the
yeah,
next door neighbour can't stand football, never watch it or whatever. But it's a truth. It's not his truth that it doesn't exist. It does exist, but it's his desire, it's his interest or lack of interest in that area that he doesn't want to be involved with it. But it exists. That the truth is there. Sport exists. I might like it. Somebody else doesn't like it. It's just our preference, our choice, which we're
yeah.
entitled to. It doesn't change the truth. Is that a good example or not?
That
Really?
is good. And if I may build on it, is that the fact that you like football and he doesn't still doesn't change anything about the football being
That's
existing
right.
as a
It
sport.
is.
But also, you don't have to then go ahead and judge yourself just because he doesn't like it. You don't have to not like it.
Yes.
Do you see what I
Yes.
mean? So that's the
That's
judgments and the further
right. Yeah.
interpretations we put on these situations that create the
Right.
chaos and the
Ah, yes. Very good. Very good.
misalignment, if you like. So,
Yes. Yes.
so coming back to the word, that's what the alignment is all about. And when I'm in
I
alignment,
like it.
and this is the further thought I need to still have, is that what does it look like for me to be in alignment? Who am I
Yes.
being? What sort of actions do I take? And what would I do in certain
Yes.
situations if I'm completely in alignment?
Yes. Really great. Oh, I love it.
And I don't think it's gonna change me completely as a person because it is who I am, and I'm more having more courage to step into who that person is. And I so love that it kind of encompasses all of the words up till now so
Yes.
nicely because change is a constant anyway.
Yeah.
um, in order to be in alignment and act in alignment, I need to love myself and have the highest good of everyone already. I need to be in flow. If I'm not in flow, I'm not in alignment anyway.
Yeah.
And, you know, if I don't have the courage, I can't be in alignment with myself. I still
Right.
have to
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah.
And impact is a a byproduct of all me
Yeah.
having the courage to be in alignment and show up
Yeah.
in
Oh, I love
complete
it. I love
alignment,
it.
isn't it? It's just like,
I,
wow,
Yeah. And my word of truth actually does all the words I've had. Well, I can't even remember last year. I wish I could remember. It,
simplicity was
oh
the
yeah, thank you. That's right. Yes, it was. It
yeah,
was simplicity. That's right. Stripping out all the
yeah,
it's all about stripping out the nonsense for me,
yeah,
isn't
it's
it? You know,
coming
and
together, isn't it?
getting rid of the rubbish,
Hmm.
sticking to what is true and real and right and good, and yeah, it's all leading that way. So again, my word encompasses all of my previous words, similar to yours really, and the idea behind it is to say it's being true to yourself. It's being who you are, isn't it? You're
Yeah.
aligning with it. I'm living in the truth. It's just almost a different way of saying the same thing.
Yes, it is very much so. And oh my
Yeah.
God, it's like literally, I think
I
similar thing happened last year, didn't it? Surrender and intention was quite similar, and we still did we
yes.
did not know before we showed up for
Oh
the
no, I make
recording.
an absolute point of not discussing this beforehand, so we surprise each other, we reveal
Yeah,
to each other on this call, on this podcast, and yeah,
it's
that's why I really
amazing.
wanted to say it to make sure that people don't think this is a fix for
No,
impact.
no,
This
definitely.
is
And
real.
it is
It's true. It's aligned.
yeah, very much so. And it's kind of credit to our friendship over the past 5 years now, almost
I
coming
think
up to
so.
five
Yeah.
years.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
And talking about all of these things, and I think it helped us both grow in many different ways.
Yeah.
And like we've said many times, all the things that I've always talked about and we've discussed together, we are not immune to any of them. We still experience them, even though we've experienced part of things, and we
Yeah.
are still experiencing. And like I said, me
Yeah.
having to get out of my comfort zone to do things that I've never done before, and same with you, and now coming into alignment to create even greater impact. It's all coming together, and it's because of all these conversations that we are having. So yeah, that's good.
It is. And we want people, we want our listeners to be part of that. And you can always go back, of course, and listen
Yes.
to previous episodes. We would encourage that, Chulai, wouldn't we? People to go back and, look at titles. Obviously, you can get some idea
Yeah.
from a
Yeah.
title of a podcast what we're going to be talking about. But as I have said so many times, a lot of themes do keep coming up, depending on
They
whichever
do.
angle we're looking at a subject. The similar themes come up because it's all, we're talking about finding serenity in the midst of chaos. So it's the
Yes.
same parameters every time that we're starting our conversation. We're not talking about shipbuilding or stargazing or whatever. We're talking about ourselves, our
Yeah.
inner beings, becoming
And
true to ourselves.
And also, I definitely concur. And I also want to say that the more you listen to the same thing, the more the newer things you start to
Mm,
hear. This is
mm,
what happened to me. I play my coach's podcast every week. And I maybe listen to the same episode number of times. And it's
mm,
only now I'm hearing the same thing. All of a sudden, a whole new thought pattern appears in my
mm,
head. Oh my God, I never thought of it this way.
mm,
So I
mm.
encourage you to go back and listen
Yeah,
and watch out for the next few weeks. There may be an opportunity for you to re-listen to some of our episodes because, yeah, things are changing. So, but
mm.
let's leave it at here, Ian. I think
I
it's a
think so.
great
Well,
way to start the new year. If you haven't found your word of the year, yeah, your North Star, this is your opportunity. It's only the 2nd of January. Do find it. Don't get overwhelmed about how you're going to find it. Just start somewhere and it will come to you. It doesn't matter if it comes to you at the end of January, it's still early days. It doesn't even matter if it comes to you at the end of November, you still have something. So, but we encourage you to just go and do this exercise and choose your power word of the year. But thank you for listening to another episode of the Finding Serenity in the Midst of Chaos podcast. If you love this episode and if you love the podcast, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel and our podcast so you can have more of these every week. Have a wonderful week.